Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is sales potential and market share. So maybe after you've done some research, you want to kind of see how much you could really sell. So before your business produces a new product, you may try to determine the product's sales potential. Which is the estimate of sales volume of a product during a specified period of time. You may manufacture a small number of product for a selected group of people to try. This would be called a sample, right? And then the sales potential of your product is based on, number one, the percent of people in the sample who would buy your product. Estimate of the size of the market, so like all the people in that category, and then the average number of times an individual might purchase a product during a period of time, because that also impacts, right? If you buy toothpaste compared to if you're buying televisions, right? Televisions may cost more, but you buy toothpaste a lot more often. There's going to be different things going on with that. Okay, our formula here is annual sales potential is the estimated market size times the individual rate of purchase times the percent of potential purchasers. As a reminder here at the end, make sure this is always a decimal, right? The percent of potential purchasers. Okay, so example 1. We've got the Ruston Corporation has developed a suntan cream called Light Stuff. Ruston chose a sample of teenagers to try the product. Of the 3,000 teenagers in the sample, 1,200 said they would purchase Light Stuff. Okay, the company estimates there are 2 million teenagers who would buy suntan cream or lotion, whatever you want to call it. And then Ruston's surveys indicates each teenager purchases about 3 tubes of suntan cream per year. Okay, so let's first make sure we kind of understand. The one thing we kind of want to compute to begin with is the percent of potential purchasers. So in this case, we had 1,200 divided by 3,000. And remember we did this last time with our opinion surveys? So we get 0.40. We know that's 40%, so if you wanted to write that as 40%, you can, but we will actually be using this decimal here, so that will be a little bit more useful for us. So now if I look at my formula for sales potential, how much money they can make in sales, our estimated market size is the 2 million teenagers times the individual rate of purchase is the 3 per year times the percent of potential purchasers is at 40, so 0.40. And when you multiply those 3 things together, it's nice to have a calculator handy, you'd get 2,400,000 tubes a year. So they would be able to sell that much. From that, they could then kind of look at prices, etc. Let's look at example 2. Hand cream was tested by 2,000 people. 1,200 people said they would buy the cream. So that will help us with our percent of potential buyers. We'll do that in a second. The estimated market size is 2,500,000, and the company estimates they would buy two tubes of hand cream per year. What's the annual sales potential? So the percent of potential purchasers. This is from last time, right? Think about taking the 1,200 out of the 2,000. So we get 0.60. You can definitely call that 60%, but we actually want to use the decimal format here, so we're really going to leave it like that. And then we do our sales potential. For our sales potential, the estimated market size is the 2,500,000 times the individual rate of purchase. They're going to buy 2 per year times the percent of potential purchasers is that 0.60. So they end up getting 3,200,000 tubes a year. In this case, like tubes of sunscreen. Okay, so now this last one, I just thought it would be good for us to kind of look at a different format. Lots of different formats you'd see in marketing. This one in particular is a pie chart. So it says, the problem is, how is market size estimated? So let's consider the TV market. There are 1,200,000 people in a TV market. So therefore, how many people are there in Samsung? So in Samsung, there are 30 people, or 30%, not 30 people, sorry. 30% of the market is that. So in this case, if you've got 30% of the market, if I wanted to know the market size, if we had 1,200,000 people, we're just saying, well, it's 30% of that. So let's times it by that 0.30. And here we get a market of 360,000 people. So just another way to kind of think about some of the things we're doing up above. Whereas Sony maybe isn't as popular, it's only 17% of the market. So 17% of the market. So here, when we say, okay, you got 1,200,000, but if we're only doing 17, that's 0.17 of the market, we end up with 204,000 people. Market share is simply the percent of the entire market that purchases your product instead of a competitor's. So think about that. As you have more people in your share, you're going to be able to sell more, etc. So when we said up here about our market size, you want to kind of take into consideration, that's based on what percent of the market you think you're going to have. All right, you're all set for this.